Okay, everybody, thank you so much for joining us today. As I mentioned earlier, my name is Melissa Campbell, and I am with the Department of Education. And I want to just take a moment to welcome everybody, all of our 2021 Summer Food Service Program sponsors, as well as our partners with the Louisiana Department of Health. This is going to be a pretty brief call today. We just wanted to really explain an exciting new COVID-19 vaccination promotion program that our Summer Food Service Program sponsors will be playing a role in. And then after our partners at the Department of Health explain this program, then Shanna Leger will join us and just give us some brief Summer Food Service Program operational updates. As you know, the Department of Health and the Department of Education have a long-standing partnership to ensure the success of the summer food service programs. The Department of Education, of course, helps to ensure that children have access to healthy, nutritious meals when school is out of session. And the Department of Health has partnered to help ensure that these meals are delivered safely to all of these children. So this summer, in response to the pandemic, the Department of Education and the Department of Health are again partnering to ensure that families have all the information that they need to be able to access COVID-19 vaccination sites. So at this time, I'm going to turn our call over to Emily Pineda with the Department of Health. Emily?
Hey everyone, I think I'm unmuted now. It's good to chat with you all. I'm going to introduce Jack, and like Melissa said, we're just going to go through a few slides really quickly. But Jack works in immunization at the Department of Health, and I know there are a lot of different people that you interact with at the Department of Health. But the immunization team is working on focusing on vaccination for adults and adolescents. And so when we spoke to Jack, we talked about the role that child nutrition folks play in supporting healthy behaviors in their community. And so we're able to provide education materials to the summer meals programs. So I'm going to let Jack go, present the slides. And then I'm sure there will be some questions around the materials and just, how many and the amount that are provided. So I'll monitor the chat and answer any questions for folks. All right, Jack.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Emily. And thanks so much to the Department of Education for having us here. Again, won't take up too much of your time today, but just think this, cannot come at a better time, and what a great partnership exists here with the summer meal program for vaccination promotion. We've just in the last few months, opened up the Pfizer vaccine the CDC has for adolescents. And pretty soon, Moderna is going to be right alongside it. And we really think that, vaccinating adolescents, the data is there to show what it's able to do to stop the spread, to keep schools open and really make a difference in our communities. So having your partnership as minimal or as maximum as it's able to be in this capacity is going to be really important. So especially, with the Delta variant that we're seeing now in India and the UK and is creeping up in the United States, it really does, impact younger generations more than previous strains. So again, appreciate the opportunity to speak to you today. We at LDH have created, and I'm sorry, I'm not sure where the labels I believe were sent potentially in the email, but if not, I can pull them up here in a second, are going to be sending you all some materials yourselves, just so you don't need to print anything and you didn't do anything, request anything additional, but we receive the sponsorship names for the materials. And just as a default to kind of get you started, are going to send you 100 push cards, 3 yard signs, and 5 posters. So I know different sites are operating in different ways because of the pandemic. The push cards, being designed to kind of slip into grab and go meals, or just be, handed out at a physical site. Obviously, yard signs and posters, depending on how your physical site is set up this summer. Again, just both targeting the parents and the adolescents, on the importance of getting vaccinated. We would like, to include a postcard in all the meals. Again, if you do have pickup lines for yard signs, an indoor space with posters, as much promotion as you're able to display and distribute, we really appreciate it. The target, again, is for this month of July is to include a promotional pamphlet with every single meal that is distributed. If you do need additional materials, as part of the memo that went out in your newsletter, we sent out a request form link. Feel free to request as much as possible and we'll get those printed for you. In addition, we're going to have a black and white printable version. So if you run through your materials, need more, again, 100, maybe very low for some of you guys, feel free to request more or print more so that you have enough to go into each meal. They're on the next slide here. So here is what the posters look like. I believe it's finally getting drafted out, and there's some a little what the push card is going to look like printed out to go into the meals. And then, yep, the black and white poster here for printing. So just some general FAQs about the vaccine. They are extremely safe for kids. Again, the vaccine for Pfizer has demonstrated 100% effectiveness in children as young as 12, very minimal side effects. The Moderna that just got submitted is very similar. The vaccine was also, again, recommended by the American Academy of Pediatrics, our state health department, and pediatricians across the state are really urging adolescents to get the vaccine. Again, 100% effective. We do require parental consent for the vaccine because they are under age of 18. If you did elect to have an on-site vaccination clinic, which I'll talk about here in a second, we would ensure that parental consent was obtained, that parents knew that their kids just weren't being vaccinated without their knowledge. It is able to be obtained over the phone or as a paper document. We have a draft version on our website. And do kids need the vaccine when they haven't been affected? Again, I mentioned these new strains, and according to doctors, the answer really is yes. The number of cases in younger people is rising. So, the outreach and promotion of this age group is equally, if not more important than adults. So we are urging any physical location, workplace, school, community settings. We have significant funding to have very unique vaccination events that aren't the traditional hospital or doctor's office to help get populations vaccinated. So again, it's not going to be applicable to every summer meal program site this summer, but if you do have a physical setting, LDH has vendors that and regional staff that can work with you to schedule a vaccination clinic that, again, ensures parental consent, ensures very little disruption to the meal process or any other aspects of the space. We're very flexible and no amount of children is too small. If you're one of the 100 push cards covers you and you're not sure what the uptake is going to be in your region, we still encourage you to have an event. The nurses and staff there are also trained to talk to kids and ask, answer their questions, address vaccine hesitancy, even if they're not providing too many vaccinations. So no amount is too small. If you have a physical space, also on that request form that went out was an option to say yes, no, maybe, do you want some follow-up from, some of our regional staff about looking into this? Our goal is to try to have at least one event in every parish. Obviously, these are 2-dose series, so they would need to be 2 different events. And we would work with you, if it's just one event or whatever it looks like, to try to also bring some vaccination. Again, this is not a required piece from us or from LDOE, but if it is suitable, in addition to the promotional materials, to actually have vaccine on site, we would love to provide that at no cost and no disruption to you. I kind of talked through all this, but again, we're going to handle most everything. If you guys can just coordinate the dates, again, contact information, and identifying someone for the vaccination strike team to talk to, we'll handle the rest and make sure it's, again, very little disruption to you. So here is the general immunization email. I believe it was included in the request form as well as in the memo that went out. It's possible that some of our regional staff might reach out to you as well if we don't hear back, or we think maybe you could be a good fit for an on-site vaccination event. But if you have questions about materials or how to include it or how does this apply to my specific site, we're really happy to answer that and work with you to make this partnership worthwhile. Any questions or concerns, feel free to direct them there. But yeah, we're looking forward to using all of your outreach into the communities and to adolescents to really promote the vaccine, promote, another healthy behavior, just like the school meal program. So happy to answer any questions as well. It looks like Emily has been answering stuff in the chat, but really appreciate everyone's time and hopping on this call today.
There's one question I don't know the answer to. It's about the vaccine available for students 8 to 11 years old.
Sure. So we're hearing, again, it's loose data. They're doing what's called like dose testing right now. So they're in very small, phase 1 clinical trials, but it's looking like late 2021, early 2022 for potentially a lower pediatric version. So hopefully more to come on that soon, but definitely not too early to start promoting the vaccine or getting those ages familiar with the vaccine now.
And then the only other question was from Christina and Melissa Campbell. I just want to make sure this is correct. So for folks that are doing the meal delivery, like for example, with Focus Foods, we can still provide the printed material to Focus Foods. We just need to know the address to mail the materials.
Absolutely. So yeah, that was kind of the thinking behind, not having too many yard signs or posters shipped, but we'll definitely send you enough push cards, for those meal deliveries to just go right inside the meals that you all are distributing.
Thank you. And I did want to let you know also that I posted in the chat box a link to the memo that that we released, the Department of Education released earlier this week regarding promotion of the vaccine program at the summer food service program sites.
Awesome.
And Jack, just a reminder, when do we need the request for extra materials? Is it this Friday or?
Yeah, so the deadline is actually tomorrow. So if you can take a look at that request form, obviously, if something comes up, you can email this email, or again, we're going to have the black and white version that should be, an easily one-side printable catch-all, if you run short on materials. But yeah, the deadline is tomorrow for this just initial round to let us know, right off the bat, is 100 going to be way too short? And we'll print some extra to include in your initial package.
And a good question, Jack, when will the materials be delivered? I'm assuming 2 weeks from Friday.
That's the goal. Yep, 2 weeks from Friday. Hopefully, again, once we have the final counts and send them to the printer, they'll have that expected turnaround times. But we're hearing 2 weeks, so we can send out another memo to let you know when to expect the shipment and any other details that come out when that occurs. Awesome. Well, I appreciate the Department of Education's time and all the sponsors on this call. Again, do not hesitate to reach out. Please consider, again, whatever your space looks like. If there could be, a small vaccination tent in the corner, it really, every single shot makes the difference here. So really appreciate everyone's time. And again, feel free to be in touch.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, everybody. At this time, we are going to have Shanna Leger who is with us from the Department of Education as well, our Summer Food Service Program Coordinator, give you some brief updates for the Summer Food Service Program.
Good afternoon, everyone. These are just a few little updates that came to mind that I thought would be good to kind of add on this call while we already have a captive audience. So the first one is July Summer Food Service Program advance request. So for any sponsor who was not able to actually request their advances via their online sponsor application. So if you were not able to have access to that checkbox area on page 5 of the sponsor application, and you weren't able to indicate to us that you did in fact want a June and or July advance, if you feel that you do need one at this time, please either email me directly, shanna.leger@la.gov, or you can email our general email address, which is childnutritionprograms@la.gov, and put in the subject line July SFSP Advance. And then just in the body of the email, let us know which system you're requesting it on behalf of, and that you do in fact want to request a July advance. Otherwise, if it was not actually checked off in your online application, we're not going to have any kind of way of running a report and knowing that you do in fact want to have that advance calculated. So again, anyone that is interested in a July summer advance, please do email me directly or our general email account no later than Monday, June the 28th. Another thing that we seem to be getting a good number of questions on is site types and media release for summer food service program. So a lot of our school systems that have been participating under summer feeding in the 2021 school year, a lot of them did operate in a closed enrolled capacity where they were just focused on feeding their enrolled student population. And now that they're rolling over into the summer months and they're going to continue to do summer food service program, now they're changing their site types maybe over to open, to where they're feeding not only their student body or any kids that they already have on campus, but also the community at large. So just remember, if you have a change in site type, you will need to publicize accordingly. So if you're switching over from closed enrolled to open, obviously you would want to reach a larger target audience to promote your program and make sure that the community knows about it. So for open sites, you're going to want to do a combination of formats when possible to make sure that you're reaching the most families. So that could include, publicizing the media release on your district website, robocalls, it could be emails, it could be flyers sent home, it could be things posted on the facilities where you're going to have these feeding programs, and of course your local papers running advertisements there as well to inform households. Don't forget that the CMP website does have that media release letter functionality. So even if you are only currently approved to operate through the end of the 21 school year, once you revise your application and you extend your operating days into the summer months, the moment that you submit that application, when you go back under applications, you can access the letters and go to your media release options. And at that point, it will have the updated extended dates already captured into the media release prototype. Another thing that has come up a good bit recently is training for summer 2021. So in some cases, the school food authority is going to have the same exact staff that they use all throughout the school year, continuing to work into the summer months. And those staff were trained, back in August, September, possibly retrained in January. And that's fine, but we do ask that when at all possible, you do kind of reiterate or go over those topics in a broad way with your staff. And then if there's anything that's changing with operations, which more than likely there will be, in the summer months. So if you're changing the setup of how you're serving meals, maybe you're going strictly to grab and go now. If you're changing the serving times, if you're changing meal types, or if you're possibly changing the site type altogether from open to closed enrolled or vice versa, you definitely want to make sure that you're training your staff on all those new changes. And as always, you'd want to have, sign-in sheets, documentation that you use to train, an agenda, and make sure that those things are available for any audit or any state agency drop-in. And I think lastly is just staffing in general. So, we've had a year unlike any other, and obviously summer food service program is typically intended for the summer months when school is not in session. But since we've had all these flexibilities and waivers and school systems were given the option to participate in summer food service program during the 2021 academic school year, we now have a situation to where school systems are actually having to revise their 2021 application, which has already been approved for January through May, and they're having to extend and build into their calendars the summer month dates of operation. So there's been a lot of confusion in regards to how staffing is handled in those cases. And one thing that we do want to reiterate is that even though you are revising your application and you're extending the dates and you're adding on additional dates of operation into the summer, you do not want to delete any of the staffing that was already previously approved in your 2021 application. So staffing that was approved in your 2021 application initially, reflective of January through May. That all falls under program year 2021, as well as the summer months also. So remember, summer food service program, it operates on a different program year than school side. Even the same, it operates a different program year than CACFP. So SFSP program year is January 1 through December 31. So we definitely don't want to delete staffing that was approved for the reference period of January through May. So there could be cases where you're having to add additional staff into your staffing plan for your sites. If you're having some staff movement or switches in assignment of sites, there could be cases where you have the same staff member who worked at a given site from January through May, and they're going to continue to work there through July. So you may just need to edit their information in the staffing plan and just increase it to the adjusted total number of operating days. And then there's also other unique scenarios where in some cases, staff was paid out of some other funding source during the school year, something other than summer food service program, maybe like the general fund. And then now in the summertime, they're going to be paid out of summer reimbursements. So in those cases, you do need to have double or dual entry of staff members so that you have it recorded appropriately for the number of days that they worked and got paid from another funding source versus the days that they're going to work in the summertime and be paid out of SFSP funds. So a good resource for you to look at if you're not familiar with it is memo SFS 21-X133. And that memo was published on April the 15th. And it's really geared to our school systems that have been operating under summer food service program that intend to extend their operations into the summer months when school is not in session. So the subject of that memo is guidance for school districts intending to extend SFSP operations into the summer. And again, it's SFS-21-X133. And there's just a bunch of general tips and helpful reminders for you in that memo. It's kind of lengthy. I think it's 3 pages in length, but there is a big section dedicated to how to handle staffing revisions. And I think we have 3 different scenarios in there of, different things that you as a district might encounter. So we definitely find that no one district is, operating the same as the next in terms of how they're getting the meals out there, whether they're doing a hybrid system where they have grab and go plus face-to-face, students on campus. And even as far as like how staff is being paid and how they're being assigned to sites and the consolidation of having the summer program at fewer sites in the summer months than during the school year. So no one district is the same from the next, but I do think that that memo would be very helpful. And it has been, the direct link to that memo has been added to the chat. So if you have not read that memo, take a look at it. And if you have not revised your application yet, and you intend to operate in June and or July, please be sure to get on that as soon as possible so that we can get you approved for those extended dates. And I think that's really the main topics that we needed to address. Just the staffing, any advance requests that we may not be aware of. Again, send me an email if you feel that you need a July advance. And please do so by Monday, June 28th. Publicizing of different site types and how you can generate that letter from the CMP website once you submit your revision. And then remember, always keep that training documentation on hand. So we'll just open it up to questions now. If anyone has any type of general questions for us, we'll do our very best to answer those at this time.
Okay, I don't see any questions popping up in the chat box for us. So at this time, we are going to go ahead and end this call. But of course, feel free to reach out to Shanna, to myself, or to anybody else on staff if you do find that you have some questions. Again, thank you to the Department of Health for joining us. And thank you to all of you for sponsoring the Summer Food Service Program this summer. Thank you again. Bye-bye.